In this lesson, we are still dividing polynomials, but now using long division. So if you recall yesterday or in the previous lesson, when we're doing synthetic division, we are dividing a polynomial by, if you recall, we always had to have a binomial, so two term, and x had to have a coefficient of 1, exponent of 1. So like x plus 10, right? If I divide it by x plus 10, then I can use synthetic division. So now notice here in this example, now that I've got a coefficient of 2 with my x here, and we're dividing, and that's in our divisor, this is now going to be using long division. So long division is actually a lot like just good old dividing long division with numbers. Now we just have our variables. So here, for example, to set this up, I've got 2x plus 10, and we're dividing that into 12x squared. Now here, and I have the steps just to kind of reiterate, but making sure no matter what, right, that both are in standard form. We're going to always focus on, and I'm going to go back to this, dividing into the first term, and you're going to see what I mean. Then we're going to also distribute, subtract, bring down. So we are going to divide the first term, which is 2x, into the first term, which is 12x squared. So for now, focus on the values. 2 goes into 12, or 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now notice, we have two x's, but again, we're taking out only one x. So now we're down to just one x now. So now when you multiply, right? So when we distribute or multiply, these are always going to match up. You end up with 12x squared. However, notice how it's not just a 2x here. We also have to distribute and multiply the 6 to 10. So 6x times 10 is 60x. Now, then we would, after multiply, subtract. However, we have two terms here. Remember, when subtracting, we would change the sign of everything. So this is now a negative and negative here as well. So 0 canceling out, and 52 minus 60 is now negative 8x. Then bring down. So we need to now bring down negative 44. Then again, here we go. After bring down, go back up. Focus on the first term again. 2x is the first term. But now what's our new first term? Negative 8x. So now what is negative 8 divided by 2? Negative 4. You had 1x, you took out that x, so now no x's. So when you multiply, they will match up, negative 8x. But don't forget to multiply the negative 4 also to the positive 10 here. Negative 4 times 10, negative 40. Now we're going to subtract, but remember, right, when subtracting multiple, like in our polynomial, you need to change the signs. So now this is a positive, and this is also a positive. So here they cancel out. Negative 44 plus 40 is negative 4. Notice how there's nothing else to bring down. This is your remainder. So our final answer is 6x minus 4, then minus 4 over 2x plus 10. So again, we're going to go back to the steps here. Divide, focusing on the first term, but now when you multiply, you have to multiply to a second term here. We're still subtracting, which means we need to change the sign. Then bring down. So let's do this example here. So let's set up. And here we go. We're going to focus on the first term, right? So we're dividing 3 into 6. That's our first term. 3 goes into 6, or 6 divided by 3 is 2. And you had 2 x's. We're taking out 1, so we're down to 1x now. Because now when you multiply, they match up, right? 6x squared. But don't forget to also multiply the 2x to the negative 5 here. 2x times negative 5 is negative 10 or negative 10x. Now we can't just start combining because we're subtracting. So what do we need to do? Change the sign. So now this is negative and positive. So here we get 0 canceling out. Now combine. Negative 7x plus 10x is 3x. Then now what do we need to do? Bring down. So bring down negative 5. Then go back up and focus on the first term when dividing. So again, we have 3x divided into our new first term, which is now 3x. Well, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then we took that x out, so it's just 1. Because when we multiply, right, there's your matchup. 3x times 1 is 3x. But what do we have to multiply the 1 to? Negative 5. 1 times negative 5, negative 5. What do we now do? Subtract. But what do we have to do when subtracting now that we have this polynomial here? Change the sign. So now here, 3x minus 3x is 0. And these also cancel out, so we have no remainder. So the final answer is 2x plus 1. So go ahead and pause the video and try the U-try on your own. And here we go. So here, setting it up. And remember, right, focus when dividing on the first term. So you are dividing 2x into 2x squared. Well, 2 divided by 2 is just 1 or 1x because you had 2 x's, you took 1 out, so now we're down to 1x. Now when I multiply, they're going to match up and I end up with 2x squared. But don't forget you had to multiply that x also to positive 2. X times 2, 2x. Then here now, make sure when you subtracted to change the signs. So now they're both negative. Because now here, 2 minus 2 is 0, and 10 minus 2 is now 8x. Then bring down 8x plus 8. Then again, we go back up to focusing on the first term. So 2 into 8x, that's your new first term. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So now when you multiply, right, they're going to match up. 4 times 2x is 8x. And don't forget to multiply that 4 also to the 2 here as well. 4 times 2 is 8. But what do you have to do before you combine? Change the signs because we're subtracting. So now both become also a negative. 8 minus 8 is 0, and 8 minus 8 is 0. So we have no remainder. So the final answer here is x plus 4. So now here in the next example, same thing. We're going to set this up, just a little bit more to it. But again, just like before, when dividing, focus on the first term. So we are dividing 5x into what? 45x cubed. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Now notice we started with 3 x's. We took out 1, so now we're down to 2 x's, 9x squared. Because now when you multiply, there's your 45x cubed. Match up. But don't forget, we also have to multiply this 9x squared to what? To the 3. 9x squared, but times 3 is now 27x squared. But before we combine, what do we have to do? Change the sign. So now they're both negative. 45 minus 45 is 0. 77 minus 27 is now 50x squared. Now what do we do? Bring down plus 25x. Here we go. We're dividing again. 5x the first term now into what's our new first term? 50x squared. 50 divided by 5 is 10. Now we started with 2 x's, we took out 1, so 1 x is left. When you multiply, right, 10x times 5x now, there's your 50x squared to match up. But don't forget to multiply the 10x to also the what? The 3. So 10x times 3 is 30x. x. Then what do we do before we combine? Change the sign. So now they're both in negative. 50 minus 50 is 0. 25 minus 30 is negative 5. So negative 5x. Then what do we have to do? Bring down the negative 2. Here we go. After bring down, divide again. We divide the 5 into what's our new first term? Negative 5x. Negative 5 divided by 5, negative 1. You had 1x, you took out that x, so no more x's. When you multiply negative 1 times 5x, there you match up, negative 5x. But don't forget to multiply the negative 1 to what? The 3. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Then what do we do before we combine? Change the sign. So now they're both positive. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So we do have a remainder of 1. So the final answer is 9x squared plus 10x minus 1 plus 1 over 5x plus 3. So now go ahead and pause the video and try the U-try on your own. And here we go. So let's set up. Now notice again, we're doing long division because our x now here has that coefficient. And you should have divided, focusing again on that first term. So you're dividing 10 into 100. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Now you started with 3 x's, you took out 1, so now we're down to 2 x's. So now when you multiply, they're going to match up, 100x cubed. But you were also supposed to multiply that 10 to negative 9 here. So 10 times negative 9 is negative 90. So negative 90x squared. But then what were you supposed to do? Change the signs. So here you have 0, negative 140 plus 90, negative 50, x squared. But then what do you have to do? Bring down, negative 45x. Here we go. Divide the first term 10 into now what is our new first term? Negative 50. Negative 50 divided by 10, negative 5. 2 x's, divide by 1, you end up with 1x left. When you multiply, they match up and you get negative 50x squared. But don't forget to multiply that negative 5 also to negative 9 again. Negative 5x times negative 9, positive 45x, right? Because two negatives making a positive when multiplying. What do you now have to do? Change the sign. So positive and negative. This cancels out to get 0. Negative 45 minus 45 is now negative 90x. And what do you have to do? Bring down, plus 73. Then divide one last time. We're dividing 10 now into what? Negative 90. So now negative 90 divided by 10 is negative 9. No more x's because we had one x taking out that last x here. When you multiply, you end up with negative 90x, but again, don't forget to multiply that negative 9 to what? Negative 9. Negative 9 times negative 9, 81, positive 81. Then what do you have to do last here? Change the sign. So now positive and a negative. So here you cancel out. You end up with a remainder of negative 8. So 10x squared minus 5x minus 9 minus 8 over 10x minus 9. And so now moving on to our last example in U-try. When we're setting up, same as before. Now we have function notation, so this is just showing that we are dividing. I have my 2x plus 8 here, so we are dividing 2x plus 8. Now notice though here, with our dividend, what do you notice? We're missing a term, just like with our synthetic. Notice how we went from x cubed to x. So we are missing our x squared term. So same as synthetic, we can't just skip it, so what do we put? 0. So we still have 2x cubed, but now plus 0x squared minus 38x minus 20. And here we go. Divide first term into the first term. 2 divided by 2 is 1. We had 3 x's, taking out 1, so 1x squared. So when you multiply, right, there's your 2x cubed, but we also have to multiply x squared to what? The 8, positive 8 here. 8 times x squared is 8x squared. But then what do we have to do? Change the sign. So now they're both negative. 2 minus 2 is 0, and 0 minus 8 is negative 8x squared. Now what do we have to do before we divide? Bring down negative 38x. Now again, we focus on the first term, which is 2x divided into what's our new first term? Negative 8x squared. Negative 8 divided by 2, negative 4. Notice again, we have 2 x's, but taking out 1, so now we're down to 1x. When you multiply, there's your matchup of negative 8x squared. But also multiply negative 4x to what? The positive 8 here. Negative 4x times 8, negative 32x. Then what do we have to do? Change the sign. So now they're both plus. Here, cancel out. Negative 38 plus 32 is now negative 6x. Then what do? Bring down negative 20. Now we divide one last time. 2x again into what is our new first term? Negative 6x. Negative 6 divided by 2, negative 3. We have x, taking out the x, so now we're down with no x's. When you multiply, you do end up with negative 6x, but don't forget to also multiply the negative 3 to positive 8. Negative 3 times 8, negative 24. So now when we combine, change the sign. So now they both become positive. Here that's 0, negative 20 plus 24 is 4. So our final answer, x squared minus 4x minus 3 plus 4 over 2x plus 8. So go ahead now, pause the video, and try the U-try on your own. And here we go. So as we're setting this up, what term were you missing, or were you missing a term? Yes, you have 2x cubed minus 12x squared, and notice you were missing the x term. So plus 0x plus 42. So you do need 0 here. And here we go, dividing 2 into 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so you should have gotten x squared now, 1 less x. When you multiply, they match up, but you also have to multiply x squared to negative 4, which gives you negative 4x squared. Then change the sign. So negative and positive, giving you 0, negative 12 plus 4, negative 8. So negative 8x squared, but then you had to bring down the 0x here. Negative 8 divided by 2, negative 4. So negative 4x now, because x squared, take out an x, now you're down with 1x. When you multiply, you end up with negative 8x squared, but also multiply negative 4x to negative 4, giving you positive 16x. Then change the sign. So now positive and negative. Canceling out, but you have negative 16x, and then one last time, bring down, plus 42. Negative 16x divided by 2, negative 8. Then when you multiply, they match up, negative 16x. But don't forget to multiply that negative 8 to negative 4, giving you positive 32. Then what do we have to do one last time? Change the sign. So positive and negative. Canceling out, 42 minus 32 is 10. So the final answer is x squared minus 4x minus 8 plus 10 over 2x minus 4.